Is Supergirl a bad movie? No, not even close. If you've heard some movie TikTokers hating on this film, just ignore them. Most of them don't even like superhero movies to begin with. Also, this is not an adaptation of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Yes, it does take inspiration from the comic, but it's its own thing. So if you hear anybody complaining about the movie saying it's nothing like the comic, then completely ignore them. Because I can say the same thing about Marvel's Civil War movie being nothing like the comics. Does that mean the movie sucks? No. So it's a silly comparison. So let's get into it. Supergirl was a good movie and a nice addition to the start of the DCU. Kara is out having a drunken binger for her birthday, but also trying to find who she is in the world. She doesn't feel like she belongs on Earth, but she also feels lost due to the destruction of her home planet. She runs into a little girl named Ruth who wields a sword looking for revenge after the big bad Krem who murdered her family. I like the story to the film. It's a mix of revenge, finding yourself, and becoming a hero. Millie Alcock does a good job as Kara. Now, she wasn't my first pick for Supergirl, but I do think she does a good job in this role. Jason Momoa totally crushes it as Lobo. He completely embodies the character. Now, I really do wish in the future we do get to see a completely R-rated version of his character, maybe in a solo movie or a different movie, because I really want to see the true to form version of Lobo. I think this movie was directed pretty well by Craig Gillespie, who has done films such as Lars and the Real Girl, the Fright Night remake, and Cruella. The writer for the film, Anna Nugaria, or however you say her name, is actually pretty new to writing. This is actually her first feature film that she's ever written, and apparently she's also supposed to be writing the Teen Titans movie, but also the new Wonder Woman movie. The film is packed into a nice 1 hour and 45 minute film with no post-end credit scenes, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping for maybe a hint of Brainiac or something, but there's nothing. I've seen a lot of hate towards the overall look of the film being quote-unquote muddy looking, but I have no idea what they're talking about. It was never going to look like the comics, and if it was as colorful as the comics, people would be complaining that it looks overly cartoonish or goofy. Every location that this film is set in fits the vibe perfectly. Most of the places in this movie are grungy looking and they're on some dystopian looking planet, so the grungy look fits it very well. I also think the cinematography in this is done very well, and I think there's a lot of good shots in this. But it comes to no surprise when we have Rob Hardy on camera duties. He has worked on such movies like Ex Machina, Mission Impossible Fallout, Annihilation, and the Civil War movie. So he definitely knows how to capture a beautiful image. I also really like the world building in this movie and the alien design, which I will say is very comparable to the very first Star Wars movie with the vast amount of aliens that we get in this film. Also, the amount of detail that they put into the random stuff that they didn't have to, like the alien convenience store, which was a really nice touch. Of course, what is a superhero movie without the action? And this movie has it in spades. Now, obviously, with it being a Kryptonian story, we do have to nerf the main character a little bit, or this movie would be over in like 2 seconds. So there are plenty of things throughout the film that stop her from being at full power for the most part, up until obviously the very end. We still get to see her kick tons of ass during the film, and we get to see her think on her toes very quickly when she's underpowered under the red sun. Obviously, she fights a lot differently than Superman, but when she is fully powered or even half powered, she is fighting and moving really cool, and I really dig the action scenes in this. Also the same with Lobo. Anytime he was on film, it was fantastic, and he is beating people up, and I love the use of his hook weapon. I like Krem as a villain. His look is very interesting. It reminds me very much of like Darth Maul kind of. Now, he obviously looks a lot different from the comic version, but I do still think he was a pretty good villain in this. I think he has a cool voice, and I liked how he egged on the girls thinking that they're not that big of a problem until he realizes, hey, he probably bit off more than he can chew. We get a lot of use of Kara's powers in this, obviously flight, her heat vision, and super strength and super speed, which was all really nice to see. I like all the flashbacks that we get of Kara's story, seeing how her planet fell, but also the relationship between her mom and father, and even when she meets Superman for the first time. And again, David Cornsweet is just so good as Superman. Every time he's on screen, I'm like, please give me more Superman. Like, I am so excited for the new Superman movie. I also think the humor in this movie is good. I don't think it's trying to be overly funny. There are a few moments that you will chuckle, but it's not like laugh out loud hilarious, but it's not like stupid cringy humor. Some negatives of this film, like some superhero movies that like to wait till the very end to put their superhero in their super costume, this movie does the same thing. We don't get much of her in the Supergirl costume, but when she is, she looks cool. But it just sucks that we had to wait till the end. It also felt like PG in the violence category. Like there's a lot of action, there's a lot of people getting hit with laser visions, and Lobo is killing a lot of people and getting stabbed and stuff, but there's like barely any blood in this movie, which is kind of weird for a PG-13 movie, but I digress. There are some scenes that are kind of predictable in this movie, but let's be real, most movies have these moments anyways, so it didn't really bother me too much. In all, Supergirl was a good film and totally worth going to the movie theater to watch it. That's why I give this film an 8.5 out of 10. If you guys like this review, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more, hit that follow button. And as always, thanks for watching.